All right, we are live on Facebook. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another webinar, informational webinar from PALCUS. We've never had a topic around law, I think, before, or law education. So I'm very excited to have our guest, Nathan Mead, with us today. Nathan is with Seton Hall University, and he'll be talking about a new program from the university called, well, he'll tell you all about it, but it's essentially for if you are a lawyer from Portugal, or you were a lawyer in Portugal, and now you're living here in the States and you want to be able to practice law here, this is a program that can help you get the certification or degree that you need so that you could then take the US bar exam. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nathan to explain the program and how people can know if they qualify. So thanks, Nathan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate it. Thank you to PALCUS for giving me the opportunity to present today. I know when we spoke last week before, you had indicated that you hadn't really had a presentation like this in the past. So I am excited to be the first, and hopefully I do a good enough job that you'll let people do this again in the future. So yeah, and I also just want to thank everyone who's on the call today and watching the live stream or watching the recording in the future. Start off to introduce myself. As Angela mentioned, my name is Nathan Mead. I'm the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions at Seton Hall Law. For those of you who might not be familiar with Seton Hall Law, we are a private law school located in Newark, New Jersey, which is in northern New Jersey, just west of New York City, and we're about 8 miles west of Manhattan. So today I'm going to be talking about our Master of Laws program, or our LL.M. And I'll kind of cover what we've offered in the past and a new program that we're introducing this year. But before I get too far into the presentation, I did want to just talk a little bit about what an LL.M. is, and who might be the correct person, the correct audience for pursuing an LL.M. And I know kind of just mentioned that a little bit. It is for someone who would already have their law degree, generally, would be the focus. And we would be looking at kind of one of two things when you're pursuing an LL.M. Either you have a law degree from the US, or you would have a law degree from another country and are now looking to pursue here in the United States. So I'll go into a little bit more detail with that. So the LL.M. is a graduate qualification. You will see here on the screen. I won't read it all to you, but it's a graduate qualification in the field of law designed to expand an attorney's knowledge of a particular area. Again, a key component is that you already have your underlying law degree. So in the US, you would have your Juris Doctor or JD. And if you were foreign educated, have your law degree from another country, then in most cases, you would have your Bachelor of Laws, your LL.B. degree, or the foreign equivalent of your law degree in your home country. In the United States, the LL.M. is often used for US trained attorneys or educated attorneys, those who have a JD, to gain a specialization in a particular area of the law. So examples of that might be in tax law or health law, intellectual property law, areas of the law where having some additional knowledge beyond just what you learned in your 3 years of law school would allow you to further your career and advance your knowledge in that particular area. For internationally trained, internationally educated attorneys, oftentimes the LL.M. is used as an introduction to American law, so that you're able to, one, understand the American legal system, and then two, many of these programs, and our program included, are designed in a way that it allows you to sit for a bar exam in a particular state and thus allow you to potentially become a practicing attorney in the United States. So oftentimes we see foreign trained attorneys pursue LL.M.s as a way to get into practicing law in the United States without having to go through the entire law degree again in the US pursuing the full JD program. So we'll talk a little bit again about our new program here at Seton Hall Law, the LL.M. in American law. For many years, Seton Hall Law has offered an LL.M. that was designed more so for US trained attorneys. Like I was mentioning before, those were LL.M programs that were designed to provide specialization in a particular area, in health law, in financial services, and in intellectual property were historically the three that we had offered. And while we had allowed international students to pursue those degrees, or foreign educated students to pursue those degrees, again, they did not allow one to sit for the bar exam. So we felt like the next kind of logical progression in building our program and advancing Seton Hall Law was to develop an LL.M program in American law, which is not new to the legal system by any means. There are certainly a number of institutions that have a program like this. We just felt it was time for us to develop a program, again, for this population. So beginning in the fall of 2023, we'll be offering an LL.M in American law. This master's program will deliver an innovative curriculum that will serve as a path to practice law in the United States. Again, this LL.M program is designed to meet the qualifications, the educational qualifications, that is, of many state bar exams throughout the country. So I just wanted to go through a breakdown of the program itself and give you some facts, and talk a little bit more about the program itself. So the program itself is a total of 24 credits. And the way that's designed is that you would take half in the fall, half in the spring. It is designed to be a one-year program. However, we do offer an optional 6-credit bonus for the same cost and tuition. If one chooses, they could elect to take an additional 6 credits to earn a concentration in a specific area of law. So in addition to learning the material that would come along with American legal system, you could earn this concentration in one of 4 areas. We have a concentration in health and hospital law. We offer a concentration in pharmaceutical and medical device law. We also will be offering a concentration in financial services compliance. And finally, we'll be offering a concentration in privacy law and cybersecurity. Again, these additional 6 credits are optional, they're not required. But if one does elect to take those credits, they will not be for any additional cost and tuition. As you can see there, the program is designed to be a one-year program, so a 10-month program. You have your fall and your spring semester. Though it could go as long as 18 months, that's especially if you were extending it to take those additional credits. Additionally, you could choose to extend your course load a little if you chose to do so, knowing that you space it out, obviously could increase that window. The goal, though, is to have everybody complete it in 1 year unless they are taking those additional credits. So the program does start in August with a short English language course. So the very first course you would take would be a shorter course that focuses on English language as it pertains to the law and the legal system. So it's more so learning the vocabulary that's required to study the American legal system. And for some folks, if you're already living in the US, and many of the people on this call probably are, then that might be a course that you would skip over. So that would be decided on a case-by-case basis. But if there's anybody on the call today listening to this presentation, elsewhere in the world, thinking about potentially pursuing this program, know that, if you're an international student, that may be a component is taking that course in August. Otherwise, you'll start in a kind of a traditional US education system in the fall, in September with your fall semester, where you'll take roughly half of your credits, so about 12 credits in the fall, and then you would move on into the spring, taking another 12 credits in the spring. So you see there, we also use weekend formatting for our program. So this is something that we offer in our Juris Doctor, our JD program, the kind of traditional law degree program. We offer a traditional kind of go to school during the weekday program, but we also started offering a weekend program wherein you would just take your classes on the weekends and thus free up your week for work-related responsibilities or family responsibilities. So we elected to do the same thing with this LL.M program. So this LL.M in American law will be held on the weekends. And the way it'll work is it'll be alternating weekends. So one weekend you'll have class in person, and it will run most of Saturday and most of Sunday. The schedule will be roughly 8:30 a.m. on Saturday as when you would start, and then it'll go until about 5 p.m. on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it'll be roughly 9 a.m. until about 2 p.m. Now, like I said, that's every other weekend, alternating weekends. The weekends that you're not in person or during the week, the way it'll work is that you'll be taking classes remotely and engaging in self-directed activity. So you'll still have requirements throughout the week, things that, materials that you'll need to review and assignments to complete. You'll still have interactions with professors and peers during the week, but those will allow you to kind of shift them to meet your needs and your schedule. So the whole goal is that you would have the week free, again, really focusing on our working population. For our students, we want to make sure that if you wanted to attend this, you're not compromising your work schedule as well. Classes would be set, like I said, alternating weekends. It'd be 8 weekends in total that you're in class, and then a 9th weekend that you would be in person to complete your final examinations. So it's truly only 9 weekends that you truly would have to set up time to be on campus. Also, again, just to hammer home the point again, the bar exam eligibility. So this program is designed to meet the educational requirements for many US state bar exams. I have a slide after this to kind of talk about that just a little bit more even, but it will meet the qualifications of a number of states, namely New York State. So that's one of the biggest for a law school being so closely located to New York City. We wanted to ensure that our program would meet the qualifications for the New York State bar exam, and it does. Lastly here, I wanted to discuss the cost of the program. So our program is a total of $26,000 per semester for a grand total of $52,000 for the degree. Now, when we were developing this program, we wanted to ensure that we were at a competitive pricing. So we did take a look at a number of other institutions that offer a similar degree and ensured that our pricing was in line with that and really a competitive pricing. We weren't going above those in the market. We really wanted to price it at what our program is, a strong top institution, but understanding that it is a new program. So we wanted to price it at again, a competitive rate. Moreover, as you see there, for folks who will apply by the 15th of April, we are offering a $20,000 scholarship. So simply by applying by the 15th, you would automatically qualify for this $20,000 scholarship. And there's no additional requirements, just ensuring that you get that application in that time. So I know I've talked a lot about bar exam eligibility and that component of it, but I just want to talk about it one more time to highlight that the eligibility to sit for a state bar exam obviously is going to vary state by state, and the completion of the LL.M. in American law does meet the qualifications of many states, such as, like I already mentioned, New York, California, and Texas. Research would show that those are some of your biggest jurisdictions where folks are looking to practice law in the United States. So we wanted to ensure that it definitely meets the qualifications of those states. So it is important to mention that simply the completion of an LL.M. degree does not guarantee the eligibility to sit for a bar exam. Every state is going to be different, and some states will have additional requirements beyond just the educational component. An example of that, even for New York, which is important to know, is that New York State does require it in their eligibility to sit for the bar exam that you've completed a certain number of pro bono hours. So a certain number of hours of legal services for free before you're able to sit for the bar exam. I think there is technically a caveat that you can complete those hours after you've sat for the bar exam even. You just will not be able to be sworn in practice law until those are completed. And it would be the responsibility of the student to ensure that they're looking up those state standards and meeting those qualifications. We certainly would work with you to ensure that we're going through all of the correct steps with you, but it is on the student to ensure that they look at their particular states of interest and understand the qualifications there. But again, do know that at least educationally, our program is designed to meet those qualifications. So maybe most importantly, for those of you that are interested, is how do you actually apply? So you'll see here the various admission requirements. First and foremost, like I mentioned at the top, an LLM is a qualification, legal qualification that is designed for someone who already has their law degree. So that's the first thing required, and this is a prerequisite that you do have your law degree. In addition to the law degree, we would ask that you complete an online application through the Law School Admission Council website or LSAC website. Anyone who is interested in that could find the link on our website, or you'd simply go to lsac.org in order to get to the application. There is a $65 application fee. However, for anyone who's in attendance today or watching this recording in the future and is intending to apply, if you reach out to me, my contact information will be at the bottom, and I'm sure that PALCUS can also share that with everyone. If you reach out to me, we'll be able to produce a fee waiver code so that you're not paying that additional $65. So moving on from that, we also require that you submit your official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions attended. And so that's everything from the university level on. And again, it's all institutions attended, not just institutions from which you earned a degree. And all of those will be submitted through LSAC's Credential Assembly Service account, which is called CAS account. I realize it sounds confusing, but if you go into LSAC, it will be pretty straightforward. It'll say, like, here's your application, complete this here, submit all of the documents through the CAS account, and it will show you how to upload. So it's a pretty straightforward system once you're in LSAC, though I realize saying all the acronyms might be a bit confusing right now. You'll submit your transcripts. Additionally, there is an English language assessment for some folks. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We do ask for 2 letters of recommendation, at least 2 letters of recommendation. And then we ask for a personal statement from you. That personal statement is a pretty open-ended prompt. We basically just want to know, who are you? Why are you interested in the LLM? And how does it meet your future goals? And then lastly, we'll ask for a current resume or CV detailing your work history. So just go back through to hit a couple of those points. Again, like I said, everything will be submitted through LSAC, which is, again, the Law School Admissions Council website. And you'll create your CAS account, your Credential Assembly Service account, to submit all of those additional documents, the transcripts, the letter of recommendation, personal statement, all those things can come in through CAS. Additionally, if you earned your law degree or any of your post-secondary degrees outside of the United States, you'll need to have those transcripts evaluated so that they're equated to a US education grading system. And the Credential Assembly Service has an ability to do that. So you'll submit that directly to CAS, and they will evaluate and submit those transcripts to us, both the original transcripts and their evaluation that's been converted to a US system. So it makes that really easy. You don't have to go to a third party. Outside of that, you can submit them all directly through LSAC. I also want to mention that all applications are going to be reviewed in a holistic approach. So it's not just the traditional looking at, your grade point average, your grades from your transcripts or test scores, but we're also going to look at non-traditional things like your resume, your work experience, take a look at your letter of recommendation, your personal statement as well. It's the holistic applicant that we're going to be reviewing when we make our decision. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I did want to circle back to the English assessment. So for students or applicants who are applying, applicants who are applying that are from outside the US and are living in a country in which that English is not the first language. So outside the United States, in a country where the language of the country is not English, we do have an English language assessment, which would be a video interview with one of our faculty members, in which they would go through a conversation with the faculty, and then they would have an impromptu writing prompt that they would go through with the faculty member. And that's really a way to gauge your oral and auditory English language skills, as well as your written and reading comprehension skill sets as well. Now, for anyone in the United States, which again, I would assume is a good chunk of this population today, that will likely not be a requirement. However, know that that is still a possibility for any applicant for this LLM program. Additionally, for any student or applicant who is applying outside of the United States, we may also request that you submit an English language test. So through the TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo's English assessment. And there are various standards that we have set on our website. You could see for what those requirements are. They vary depending on the type of test that you take. But do know that that is also a potential requirement for this. And all of that could be moot if your law degree from your home country was in an institution where the language of instruction was English. So if your law degree is from Portugal and the law school you attended taught in English, then all of that would be removed. You would not have those additional requirements. So I know that was a lot and it's explained on our website. I'll also send a copy of this slides along because I do feel like that gets a little confusing. I just want to talk quickly about the location, just to highlight that, and then we'll wrap up and I'll turn it back over to Angela and see if we have any questions. But like I mentioned, we are in Newark, New Jersey, which is located, like I said, just outside of New York City. We're about 8 miles west of Manhattan. It's home to many large global corporations and law firms. So we find that the location allows for great employment opportunity for folks who are looking to stay in the area and those who maybe are looking to get some experience while in the program. You have that opportunity to work at some of these large global corporations law firms. We're also close to a number of smaller law firms, boutique law firms that offer great opportunities as well. We're close to federal, state, and county courthouses, all of which are located in very close proximity to the law school. And then beyond kind of the employment opportunities that come with the location, Newark offers a depth of culture and entertainment as well. We're close to the Prudential Center, for those of you who might be familiar with that, the New York Museum, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and the Ironbound neighborhood. For those who maybe aren't familiar with Ironbound, that's Newark, New Jersey's largest Portuguese population. It's a large neighborhood that offers a variety of events and festivals throughout the year that really celebrate the Portuguese individuals in Newark, New Jersey and the surrounding area. So again, Newark is a diverse location with a number of opportunities, again, both employment and entertainment-wise as well. Lastly, just going to mention, like I said at the top, we have those 3 other LLMs, which are designed primarily for those who have their US law degree. That they would be for folks who have their JD. The nice thing about these programs is they're actually offered online. So if anybody listening today is interested in pursuing an LLM and they have their JD, this may be an option for you. We offer an online LLM in financial services compliance, one in online for health law, and then one in intellectual property as well. Like I mentioned, though, these 3 LLMs do not provide a pathway to sit for the bar exam. If that is the goal, then the LLM in American law would be the path for you. But I did want to mention this just to ensure that I kind of hit all of the programs. And then lastly, just to throw up my contact information there on the left, and on the right is my colleague, who is a co-associate director of graduate admissions, Casey Herman, and her contact information as well. Certainly, if anybody had questions after this presentation and wanted to reach out, you could contact either myself or Casey, and we'd be able to help with that. And with that, Angela, I'll go to questions. I know we scheduled this for an hour, but I didn't want to bore people too much with the presentation. So.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that was great. And I certainly don't think we'll go the whole hour, but I just wanted to hit on a couple of things. So us being a Portuguese organization, obviously we were, targeting folks from Portugal, but this is actually open to anyone from any foreign country, right? So if we think about the larger Portuguese speaking countries, specifically, again, just being relevant to our population, our community, if someone is from Brazil and they have a Brazilian law degree and they want to come here and practice law, they can go through this program and be eligible, or at least partially eligible, to sit for the bar exam. Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, Macau, like, so a lot of the other countries in the Portuguese speaking diaspora, this applies to them as well. So it's not just Portugal.
Correct. Yes, that's
Right.
where.
Yes. I think that's really important.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And I think that, so obviously Canada, Australia, the UK, right? So we have Portuguese communities like across the globe. So I think that's really important for people to understand that it's not just for Portuguese people from Portugal. The other thing that I think you mentioned that was really important is, like, if people are really looking to specialize in a particular area of law, some of the things that questions that we have gotten, PALCUS as an organization, a lot of immigration questions, a lot of inheritance and I guess family law questions. And, so having to know both systems is actually really important. So I think that would be really valuable. And then funny enough, not funny enough, but like custody, custody of children is tends to raise its head, unfortunately, and we've had some questions around that. And so again, having somebody that knows both systems, I think would be really important. So there's just a few areas where I think this would be really applicable and very helpful for our community if someone from one of those other countries that has a law degree were to come here and then also be able to practice law here. I think that's really important.
Of course, and it's probably important that I mention that currently the final course list has not been finalized and distributed for what will be available in this program. Though I do want to emphasize that it will have all courses that will be relevant to the bar exam and eligible for one to sit for a bar exam. And with that would come a number of the things that you just discussed, because those are topics that would likely be tested on a bar exam. So specifically, family law is something that is often tested on bar exams. So it may be a course that would be available. And the way it's been discussed thus far, and what I hope to see, is that many of the courses offered in this program will be courses that were offered in our Juris Doctor program, our JD program. So the hope is that you could have that flexibility beyond what considered your core courses, things like property, which might help with things like inheritance, but property, criminal law, constitutional law, criminal procedure, civil procedure, courses that are kind of core to the bar exam will be, if that was your goal to sit for the bar exam, we will push that you take those courses in those 24 credits, but then you will have that flexibility to take additional courses for sure.
Excellent. Other key points: if you apply by April 15th, you're guaranteed a $20,000 scholarship, which that's amazing because there aren't many guarantees when it comes to scholarships. So I think that's a great incentive for people.
And actually, if I can cut you off, I'm sorry. With that, that's exactly right. If you apply by the 15th of April, you qualify for that $20,000 scholarship. That's not submitting all of those documents. So that was a pretty long list that I had gone through, the transcripts and letters of recommendation. The only part that actually has to be completed by the 15th is that online application piece.
Oh, even better.
So you submit that part, as long as that shows up in my system that you've submitted it by April 15th, then you qualify, even if those additional documents take longer, because I don't want anybody to be held up because the person drafting their letter of recommendation took an extra 24 hours or an extra week. So as long as your end is done and those other materials are coming through CAS, the Credential Assembly Service, then you'll still qualify. So I've had some students be concerned about that. Just let me know, hey, I've submitted my end and I'm waiting on my transcripts to clear or this letter of recommendation, and we'll still mark you down and you'll still qualify.
Excellent. And then also for anyone that attended this session, they can let you know that they learned about this program through PALCUS, and you will waive the $65 registration fee, which again, another incentive, right? $65 is pretty good deal. Of course,
and that's if someone even sees this recording. I know you said it was live on Facebook, I believe. If they see this recording, you didn't have to attend it live. Just let me know that that's where you're coming from.
That's great.
We'll waive that $65 fee application as well.
That's excellent. Well, we don't have any questions, but I think this is an excellent program. We've got the information out there. We'll be sharing it. It's now recorded and will be online for all eternity. So people can go and watch it. And as we have updates to the program, maybe we'll have you back next year, Nathan, see how the first year went. But would love to stay in touch. And as you have more programs that are applicable to our community, we absolutely will share them.
Well, I would love to be able to come back and talk more about the program next year once we've gone through a year and we've really seen how it comes together, and maybe have a little bit more to share at that point as well. And then additionally, just kind of brainstorming live, we do offer some other programs that maybe we could talk about in the future.
Sure.
We offer a Master's of Legal Services, which is actually for folks who don't have a law degree, who are interested in learning about the law and then potentially working in like a compliance or regulatory role. We also offer some graduate certificates. So there's some other opportunities available at Seton Hall Law for folks who are interested in law but don't have their law degree. Today's conversation is all focused on those who obviously already do have a law degree, but we have other opportunities. Certainly would be willing to come back and talk about that at some point as well. But all of that said, I just want to say thank you again. I really do appreciate you giving me some time to talk about our program, talk about our school, and share that with your population as well. So thank you so much.
No, it's our pleasure. Thank you, Nathan. I hope that we get some takers from the community for your program. And for those who watched, thank you for your time. Thank you for participating. If you found this information valuable and you think that the work PALCUS is doing in being a resource to the community is important, we invite you to become a member. $50 for the year. It's quite affordable. And it helps us to be able to continue to do informational webinars like this one. So you can just go to our website, www.palcus.org, and become a member online in about 5 minutes. And so we would really appreciate your support. But with that, Nathan, thank you so much. This has been great. And we will definitely be in touch and share progress.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.